Yun, nice lang din yun. Then we get all right.
Order, 501. And
For you,
I've got one, I'm going to ask to move in camera. We'll say 5.2. And our presenters go to Alfred, and then Denise can speak after Alfred.
I contacted the owners, South Carolina, and I didn't get any response for some time, and then just Friday last week, they did contact me, and I guess that's also, I posted that today, he answered. Is bad, and he'd like to coordinate the removal. You don't have to take cropping up a lot. I'm willing to, until I put that here. And close the building down, give him some time. And then we're looking at closing it down or having it demolished in. Like that closing buildings and we can take it off in one screen. See if in this problem. Kids play. Yeah, and it's all open now, and that's why. Yeah, but like I said, it's totally up to council. If you wish, we can talk on that. Yeah. Yeah. It's right in the middle of any time now. It's fine to close it down, but to close the windows, and there's windows on the other side, and go around and close it. So it hurts. Just to, take less time and change that up to days, 45 days.
It's gonna, you made it quite clear, they have to either encapsulate it or take it down, and then by May first, it must be down. Storms.
Yeah.
You probably put a few boards out down the bottom. The winter time it's not bad because everything's so damp and cold. snow, probably fire danger, maybe not as bad in the winter, but yeah, hot summer.
Still be a fire hazard.
Hot summer.
Oh, Joe?
I have no problem waiting till spring, like Linda said. It's either
Board it up now, or?
take them down now or May 1st. But maybe also be waiting to hopefully the property sells and he doesn't have to deal with it too, right? Oh, yeah, but the present owner may not want to have to go through that, and he's got it for sale and may hope it sells before he has to deal with it.
Mhm. So I'm hearing that you'd be receptive to giving the owner a chance to close it up and then have it removed by the 1st of May, 2018. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, though, that you got to put a timeline, a strict timeline on when it has to be closed up. So if the guy was given 30 to no more than 45 days to have it made tight.
30 days is plenty of time to close.
30
seal
days,
that time. Yeah, 30 days to seal it up and total demolition of the building by May 1st next year. Press that upon my email that will go to him that council does have some concerns about the building and the danger of it, May 1st is the time it has to be done, or they will proceed with it at that time.
And is it appropriate to put signage on the property saying private property, like just to keep people out of
We
there?
never have in the past. Everybody would know.
Just asking, because obviously people are going on the land now, and it's private property, but it is still a hazard. So
I would think the owner could do it. I mean, we.
I don't mean for us to do it. I just mean for us to
Recommend
to him that you close it up and put signage on it.
Property to
Keep out.
and to keep out.
But so I have a motion from council then to give direction. All in favor? Aye. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, our presenter's not here yet, so well, we're going to, if you want to wait in our boardroom, and then if she shows up, then we'll have her come before us.
You guys want a glass of some water or anything like that?
Coffee? Tea, coffee.
Take him down.
At the municipal building. So it was not the town hall, so I had my things crossed, so I'm very, very sorry for that.
All right.
I've shown up there. I've been here before, so I'm sympathetic.
I don't usually, but
You can I have a motion
Today
for
was
Denise
today.
Bacon to come forward to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the floor is yours.
thank you. Roberta, will you hand those out? So I was asked to come today to speak. I don't have a formal presentation on Prezi or on PowerPoint or anything, because I think it's probably more of a conversation we need to have around the CHF Canada partnership opportunity. Is that correct? This is why I've been called upon. And so you're aware that DASH has a housing coalition, or the Digby area has a housing coalition, and that housing coalition is DASH. And we've been working furiously with your support to improve the situation from an affordable housing perspective. And so the goals that the coalition have been working on in the last year particularly are around the housing needs assessment, which, as you're aware, is moving ahead. And I'd also like to report that CMHC, as of Friday, has matched municipal funding, so we'll have more available dollars for data analysis and community engagement. So that was wonderful news. Hoping to launch the survey live at the end of this week. It was delayed as a result of the partnership with CMHC, so that's just a keep in your hat because we'll need to distribute that to folks in the community. We've been advocating for a rural lens on Housing Nova Scotia policies. We work with municipal government to improve affordable housing. And we're focusing on affordable and supportive housing infrastructure. That's where it gets a little bit complex because as a housing coalition, we can't build and maintain and manage affordable housing. It just wouldn't be our mandate. And we've sought out into the community. Our sisters have been able to raise some money towards affordable housing infrastructure, but we haven't been able to launch a project, even with kind contributions kind of sitting in the wing. And the reason for that is because it's costly, it's hard. Who wants to sign on to a $500,000 or $1 million project when when you have to keep things very low from an affordability perspective in terms of making a business case? That's also why many private sector folks don't want to invest in affordable housing. And so we've been caught in this conundrum of how do we get more affordable housing in our communities? And working with Housing Nova Scotia, working with our community, working with all levels of government, we've been seeking some partnership opportunities. And this is one that has come to the forefront. We've asked co-ops locally across the Tri-Counties, and the Tri-Counties being Yarmouth, Digby, Shelburne, if they were willing and wanted to expand, but often they're volunteer organizations that are maxed out. They're maintaining what they're maintaining, and so they weren't looking to expand. But in conversations with CHF Canada, so the Cooperative Housing Federation of Canada, which had Karen Berdeur as our provincial contact, we were able to begin conversations around what can be done to increase affordable housing infrastructure. And so what's been put on the table as an opportunity is that we know that many municipal governments have resources, lands that belong to them that they're looking to do something with. They can't be given to private sector for low or no cost, but they can be transferred to not-for-profits. And that's what Compass Co-op is. It's a not-for-profit under CHF Canada. And so the advantage to that is they've just basically become a not-for-profit entity. This is a new pilot, fresh off the ideas table. It hasn't been done elsewhere in Nova Scotia. They're starting with us first because we've been pushing this envelope. And they have partnerships, they have equity, they have the governance and the infrastructure to manage and maintain a co-op. The idea is that they would be a provincial co-op that would ascertain assets across different communities, and so they could use economies of scale. If I try to put up 4 units in Digby, or even 8, and 2 of those remain vacant for any length of time, my business plan is toast. Or one of those apartments gets trashed, my business plan is toast. I'm done. And if you need to make money off of that, it's even more complicated. But even if you're running as a not-for-profit, you have to make enough to maintain your investment. And so the advantage of partnering with Compass Co-op is they'll have large-scale amounts. So it won't matter if there are 2 vacancies in Digby County because there'll be 150 other filled units across the province, and that just becomes a drop in the bucket of the overall business plan. And so that's the advantage of partnering with them. And we're at the development stage. We've asked municipalities to consider whether they wanted to partner, whether they had land assets that they could bring into this project, and then to identify those land assets so we can begin conversations directly with CHF Canada and develop the partnership agreement from there. So there's nothing, it's not laid in stone. Even if you commit to saying these are some possibilities, they'll come out, they'll take a look, they'll develop the business plan, they're able to negotiate, they're looking to negotiate with the credit unions, but they've got some negotiating power, so they're hoping to get 30 or 50-year mortgages. So, in terms of being able to, and this is low market rent, it's not social housing, it's in partnership with Western Regional Housing Authority, and it can have some rent subsidies attached to particular units to help take people off of the Western Regional Housing Authority waitlist, but it's not it wouldn't be considered social housing under their umbrella. And so it's an excellent opportunity to engage in some conversations if you do have land banks or land resources that you're willing to invest in affordable housing. It's a great way to use public resources to do social good. And the difference as well with the not-for-profit is that the intention is that it will always be affordable housing. Whereas with private sector, when we engage in some of those pieces, it's a 15-year term that they sign up on. And so when the 15 years is up, it just goes to market rent. It doesn't have to stay affordable. So the advantage to this potential partnership opportunity is that it means that we would increase affordable housing infrastructure forever. In the not-for-profit organization run like all other co-ops looking to maintain their housing units as affordable. That's their main philosophy, their main goals and objectives. And so, I guess, that's it in a nutshell. Perhaps I'll see if there's questions.
I read your letter. I was actually talking to Mrs. Journay as well. I personally think this sounds like a wonderful opportunity that has come. That's just my comment. I am so thrilled. And I was actually at a meeting, I think it was in Halifax, but it might have been on the shore, but Dash was spoke about. We were talking about affordable housing, and Dash was mentioned. And it surprised me because they were talking about one in Yarmouth, Digby, and one on the Cliff Shore. Shack, thank you. Yeah, must have been in Halifax because they were speaking about the three. And I said the only one I knew of was Dash, myself. But Dash does have a great reputation in this province, just so you know. And I think partnering with Compass is the ideal.
And I didn't mention, but they are looking to start with a minimum of 50 units across our tri-county area. So and you couldn't just put 50, obviously, in Digby, but
You could.
you probably could and fill them. But 50 is kind of that minimum target, again, to take advantage of economies of scale, which is why we're partnering out across the region. And I will say we've had some really great responses from the town of Shelburne, municipality of Argyle, municipality of Barrington. And municipality of Shelburne as well. Yarmouth is coming on board in terms of finding some potential options as well. So it looks like we will be able to move this forward, which is really exciting because this is not something from a community level that we could get off the ground without the entire partnership, our municipalities, CHF Canada, Housing Nova Scotia, and of course the federal housing strategy is coming down as well. So the timing is great for us to be positioned for this pilot. It is new though, so there is a Compass co-op in Ontario that engages in a similar model, but it's cutting edge for our province.
I just want to say that the Dash groups, tenacious, hard-working, smart people, I've never come across on any committee on that committee. It's a desperate situation in housing in the area, and I always thought about it anecdotally, and now they've come back out with some real numbers through the years, and not a very small task to do. And of course, it's worse than we even thought it was. Also, I was just wondering the value of the land. Of course, there has to be a public meeting before any land is passed on, if the council so wishes. Does that value of the land qualify for the matching funds? Would that be a way also to, give you some cash with the land to use that?
The matching funds from housing.
Matching funds at the beginning.
Okay, those two different pieces.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the matching funds were with respect to the needs assessment. So municipality of Digby has contributed the $11.50 for the needs assessment. CMHC has matched that.
Would it be any way, say the property is worth $10,000 or whatever, and you guys get it, is there any way for you to take that value of the property and leverage it towards
Absolutely. There are ways to, and programming that can that can assist in doing affordable housing infrastructure. And that's certainly where CHF Canada's partnerships with the federal, municipal, or the federal and provincial programming and in terms of partnering to make those units, so you can get up to $50,000 a unit for affordable housing. And so they would apply for some of those. You can't get 100%, but they can get some of them. So the more things that they can put in their toolbox in terms of establishing their business plan, the more affordable they can keep their rent. So if they can get low or no cost lands, that plays into it, and then that provides equity. Then they're able to apply for a portion of those units to receive the Housing Nova Scotia grant subsidy. And that subsidy depends if it's a new build or if it's a retrofit. So there's all kinds of different rules and places. They can make that happen and negotiate those. It's a little bit overwhelming. And that's what our builders here have said, even those here who might be interested in trying to do, I mean, we have contractors and builders who are hammering on the roofs with their guys. They don't have time to try to negotiate the intricacies of the programming pieces, and we know that's been hard. And then there isn't much of a business case when you're doing affordable housing. So this takes care of a lot of those problematic pieces that have made it hard for our communities to really put up affordable housing infrastructure.
I really like this. That's my thoughts. I really like it.
Any other questions?
Are they, like, if you determine, are they detached units or like a fourplex or?
There is no, anything goes. It depends on the community itself, on what's available for resource, and what the needs are to some extent. So our needs assessment would help inform those pieces, but certainly the conversations can get started. So for example, in the town of Shelburne, they generated their list of potential land options that they owned. We brought CHF Canada to meet with staff and councillors, interested councillors, and to look at, you know, what are some of the options, what are the pros and cons of each of those units, what would be important to your town, what are some other community pieces that need to be thought of, daycare, gardening, active trails, you know, what are community centers. So they're very community minded in that sense. And so identifying those pieces and then having conversations about what do we feel would work best. And then they take that information back and they start looking at, you know, what is the business plan that can work? Is it taking that giant building and putting 12 units in there, or is it in doing smaller ones across the area? And so that's the process in terms of how it would work. So there's no set way. It's about identifying what would work in this community and what are the available resources and building the business plan from there. Will the business plan work? We don't know until we get down that road, but they also have the resources to do that, right?
My only comment to that is, I hope when you're looking at accessibility in the sense of people with physical problems, because I will tell you that's a great hardship.
Absolutely.
And the other is, I hope some of the units will be pet friendly, because there are people that really need that cat, that dog, to be there.
Important social connect for many. Absolutely.
I mean, I know I'm jumping the...
And these are all parts of the discussion, and we're also hoping that a lot of that will be documented in the needs assessment as well. We know anecdotally these are things that are impacting our community, but we haven't been able to really fine-tune it statistically in a package, which is what the needs assessment will allow us to confirm what we really do know, and then to meet those needs. And this is one place where we have that flexibility to make that happen. And certainly accessibility and pets are top of that list, for sure.
They allowed pets at the island building there, Round Manor, the top floor is empty till then.
Right.
Yeah. Half empty for 2 people.
Yeah.
Let your cat in.
Exactly. And so co-ops get to make their own rules about what they want and what is acceptable within within the different units, and so certainly that is something that could be considered.
I think you answered my question. My question was about the type of land and the location, and is there like a criteria on what you're looking for? I mean, something that's landlocked in the middle of nowhere obviously would not be
Right, and
something, you want something close to transportation routes and more urban as opposed to rural.
there are better places. That's not to say that there isn't a possibility anywhere. There is. Obviously, there are things that, if you're hooked up to sewer and water, that makes it easier than if you need a well. But we're working with rural Nova Scotia, and they recognize that. And so that's about factoring it in, so you're building it into the business plan so that you know what's required up front and working that through. So there isn't any one set criteria. Obviously, being close to even a little store or public transportation or any of those kinds of services does make a difference. But if there's an identified need in a particular community and a resource there that can be developed, then we can have the conversation with CHF Canada about what might be possible. So it's wide open, but will it work will depend on the numbers. Yeah.
You have a question? Okay. I think it's fair to say that our council supports the concept and what you're trying to do, and I've talked to our CAO about this prior to the meeting, and we have to identify what land we actually have, and then what would be suitable. So, we don't know that yet. So, and it may not even be, if there's nothing now, that doesn't mean there won't be any in the future.
Right.
So I think, like I said, it's a good project, and it's a great way to address the affordable housing issue. So we will let you know how we make out.
So the intent, just from a progression perspective, so that you are all aware of what's been happening, those municipalities I'd mentioned have identified their land banks, and CHF Canada has met with Argyle and Shelburne. They're coming November 1st and November 15th to the area again to meet with others that have identified land banks. So November 1st will likely be the Barrington Municipality of Shelburne folks, and then November 15th is more open. We're hoping perhaps Yarmouth and whoever else tends to come on board. After that, there aren't any set dates, but other dates can be established. And once the intention is that they will develop the business plan as a complete package with all of those municipal units together in terms of what might be possible, and then phase out the development bit, because obviously you can't have 50 to 100 units go up all at one time. And so after that, they're apt and likely to be opening it up to province-wide, per se, and then the queue is going to get harder to get in. So, just so you know, there's no time like the present. Exactly, David. So just to keep that in mind, that if we can make sure that our municipal units across Yarmouth, Digby, Shelburne are included in the first phase of this, then I think that's best.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll know
Excellent.
soon, and then we'll get back to you.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks for coming in
My
today.
apologies again for the mix-up.
And Denise, like always, super impressive.
Thank you.
You should become a municipal councillor.
Yeah, I don't have the guts for that, David.
Oh, it's great.
See you later.
You guys, thank you. You guys are doing great. Awesome.
Okay.
Right.
Night. We're going to move now on to approval of minutes for committee of whole from September the 11th.
I move acceptance of the minutes.
Seconder. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. There is no old business or business arising, so we're going to go on to new business. 8-1, Jessica Bradford, letter of support, Agricultural Association of Nova Scotia and Dalhousie University.
Linda's friend. Where did I have that?
Okay.
Talk to that one, Linda?
Pardon me?
You talk about that one right here?
Yes, I am.
Oh, here it is, sorry.
Okay, Jessica Bradford, is asking for a letter of support, where she has been working on agriculture in Nova Scotia. I actually, she came and interviewed me, and we were approximately 3 hours here, the day she came in. It's just, to help with her research and, that type of availability. In the letter, she put what she was sort of looking for.
I have a question for you on this.
Yes.
What does she mean by community-based marine aquaculture?
Working with community.
Yeah, but what do you mean? Like, do you mean like working with the municipality or working with, like when you work with community, who owns
Community.
So who owns the aquaculture?
It can be, an individual in, like there is now, but make sure that everybody's working with the community's on side, people are well informed, a community themselves may want to set up an agricultural, like they would become a nonprofit, or a profit base.
Would you be interested, do you think, in meeting people who are absolute deaf on it? We got a bunch of them down in my area saying they're quite educated too. Just if she's interested for her research, I could put her up with people that might have, you know, different ideas.
My question towards it also is that, like the province has come out with new regulations.
And she's been part of that.
She's been part of that process?
Yes.
So, and like, they've got a plan going forward for agriculture for Nova Scotia for the next.
She's all part of that.
But
It's
then,
all part of her, for her people.
but she wants a letter of support to, so she can further do some research for
Yes.
the next couple of years on
So
this.
she's looking for money.
No, she just wants,
Province?
well, from,
No,
yeah,
because the province is to
Not
get
from us.
letters together, and yes, you're
Yeah.
useful, yes, you're competent.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, we'll give you $20,000 to finish your next.
well, whatever,
Yeah.
she's,
Yeah. I'd make a motion to that effect.
looks like it.
Any other questions?
So the letter is written, and that would go under the warden or the deputy warden's signature.
Whichever you want.
I can sign it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. It's going to the province.
She just sent it to me because I said she was,
Yeah.
but, she had been sent my name from the, association.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, approved. Okay, next thing on the agenda is Sandy Cove Beach,
Okay.
8.2.
We have a second vote there. The people in the area are very upset. I was down the other day and took some extra pictures. You know, they're upset enough with the first vote that they're, you know, it's been such a slow process with the first vote, and they're afraid now the second vote, you know, that they're into problems. I actually, because I went away last week, you know, after, but I have pictures, I have numbers, everything I can possibly get off the boat, I took pictures with my phone. So I'm wondering, and I told them I was going to bring it up again, because I said we have been working on the other boat. I know it's been a slow process.
As long as I've been involved.
Except for the statement.
You know, and, you know, there's, and I know, Mr. Richler has also, mine went into junk, and then I realized it all, so I've been talking, emailing back and forth with him, as well as, the other two ladies, as well as another person. That's why you only got the two letters from the, two people, of the others.
And you'll have an update for you.
So with regard to the first vote, I think what Alfred's going, we know who the owner is, and he's had discussions over the phone or via email that they don't want to have anything to do with it. We've been trying to get them to actually sign something in writing, and they haven't done that, so I think his next step is he's going to go down and actually go to the door and say, sign this. So that's on that one. The second vote is much easier. We know who the owner is, and Alfred's actually been down there twice. So to see the second vote.
Okay.
And I guess even just over the weekend with the high tides, it was originally in a location, to write this down, that the harbor authority themselves had indicated they thought they might be able to take it and drag it off and make it go away. Unfortunately, with the high tides, it brought it further up the beach. So it's now, they can't do that. So Alfred, we identified who the owner was actually just today, the name, and he's going to try to track down. We think we know where he lives. And he, you know, and treat it like we would an unsightly. And give him X number of days to remove it, and if it doesn't, we'll have to remove it.
That sounds.
The only thing is, with dangerous and unsightly, you have a property that you can tax to get your money back. In these cases, there's nothing to tax to get your money back. Now, the federal government has recently come out with a program, and Alfred and I have both looked at it, and unfortunately, I think that program is geared to moving the Farley mullets and the great.
Oh, okay.
It's quite onerous application process. You have to do assessments, and you have to do business cases, and you have to have the written permission and that type of thing. So Alfred at the same time is going to get some quotes to have both those boats removed. So, you know, maybe if it is like $10,000, maybe it is worth going through the process. If it's less than that, then maybe we would just do it and hold our nose and go for it. So it's frustrating because it's not our property, it's the beaches, you know, transportation.
Why are we taking ownership of this issue when it's
Because it's not on their property.
the property that
Not on CIS.
Not on transportation, but it belongs to the province.
belongs to the province?
Natural resources.
So the province owns it, so they should own the issue of removing it. That's my take on it.
I agree. I'd love to see that.
If it doesn't happen.
The same take is,
No,
same
it's-
take with the same thing.
No, but the thing is, why should, like, and I'm just saying generically for municipalities, why should municipalities take over an issue that is not ours? It's a provincial issue. It's their land. It's about, and don't worry, they've been in contact with the MLA over this issue as well. Because I've been in contact with Novasource, and then there was another email about a guy sending it out being unsightly on the beach. Well, it was pile drivers for the wares. But this guy was sent out, well, those are pieces of equipment people use to build wares with. So this,
That they're no longer in use.
no, but there again,
Nice.
the province owns the land, and they should have to address that issue about removal. If we have to remove it, like, we work with a very little bit of money from property tax. And that money isn't really allocated for taking care of issues like this.
The
But
province
this,
is garbage.
we've been working on this for quite a few years, and I'm telling you, the people of that community want that boat gone, and, I mean,
This is what you get for being the
it's been since,
I'm not saying it shouldn't,
2014.
no, I'm not saying it shouldn't be gone, but
It's
I
longer
get
than
it.
that.
My problem
Is that
is
first
we
boat
having
on
to
the
pay for
no,
it.
no, it's like the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
2014.
Geez, we were talking about this, I thought, when I first got
We'll get
elected.
it
Longer than that.
So, okay.
So what-
I guess the update is that our staff and administration are aware of the issue. And that they've been looking at trying to come up with a remedy to the problem. And, but I still think we need to talk to the province about, if we remove it, they should pay part of the cost if we have to do this. Have
We
we ever-
can try to get it, but I'll be honest, I want it gone. It's been since 2014
I know.
we were working on this.
Yeah.
And the people in the area are,
It's embarrassing at a certain point as the years go by.
Well, I
Yeah.
agree certainly with the feelings. I think this municipality waged a long and vocal war on the whales on the same
Yeah.
issue in 2013 or 2014 and lost the same issue. It wasn't it
The province only gets involved if it's a navigable water hazard or an environmental.
the issue.
But that's, I guess, this is where I get problems with the whole thing, because even the Department of Environment, they don't take ownership. it's provincial land and it's something that's an unsightly or derelict boat or whatever on provincial land. So why is municipality expected to pay the cost to remove that when the province should have to pay the cost?
Yeah, the province is mess.
The one thing I can do, I'll get in touch with Maurice Camille from DNR, because my understanding was they were compiling the list of boats that were in the area that were considered derelict. Now, I don't know if they were doing that so that they could apply to this federal program. If that's the case, awesome. So I'll find that out.
Is there any onus on DFO? Like,
No,
No,
it's
nothing to do with the water.
not the
It's
DFO.
not a navigable.
Okay, so if you do that, and then we'll bring this back to council for a decision whether we're gonna pay to have it removed, or if we're gonna have assistance in funding it to remove it.
So I'll be out front with you, I will be lobbying if they don't, but we do, because it's.
Well, if they don't, we will, but,
it's embarrassing. Yeah, it is.
Well-
Of course, we're the politicians everybody sees. We're the ones like, they can't get nothing done. They can't even move a boat. You know, we're not knowing, of course, the details.
yeah, but it boils down to me personally, is why should we as a municipality have to take control of issues that aren't ours? And no,
Well, and I agree, but that's the same as the doctors, it's the same as everything else, Jimmy.
right.
It's the world we're in.
But the fact is, we can't keep taking on, I mean, I understand where you're coming with this, and I support getting the boats moved. But my thing is that I wanna see if we can't get some help moving them first financially. And if we can't, well, then we have to address the issue. But the fact is, if we do it without even asking for money, then we're never gonna see anything. And we're not gonna get it if we have to ask for the money after.
It may not be the first ones either.
Well, that's it.
A year down the road, you may have some other derelict boats.
Yeah, I know the town of Shelburne, I mean, it's been millions of dollars for them to try to get every steel out of nowhere.
Well, even that one
Maybe
there.
the guy went to jail, I think, and.
The guy did, but that boat sunk, and I think the federal government paid a lot of money just to float it again, and they still kept it tied up at the wharf, so, anyway.
And if someone does mention there's a third boat there is a third boat there, but it's gonna be painted. So the harbor authority's aware of that one. So if someone gives you a call that there's a third boat,
Multiply, breeding.
I was gonna say, you don't want me to go down there and try to help
We had
get
three
rid
or
of
four
it.
in Weymouth one time.
But it's being painted, so that's okay.
Yeah, don't hire a guy.
We'll make a final decision on where we're going with this at council.
So what we're gonna try to do is get the owner of the first boat to sign off and say we can get that removed. We're gonna notify the second owner and give him whatever number of days it is to have it removed. And at the same time, I'll get a hold of DNR and see if they are applying for the federal money. And then as well, Alfred's getting quotes. So those are sort of the 4 steps that we're doing.
I think we should talk to the MLA too, see if there's any money. This could get costly. I mean, getting down there on St. Mary's Beach and hauling that out, I mean, that's.
Well, I think what the
You
problem.
can't have an
is
excavator down there, remember?
Go to the federal program.
No, but
Like I
why-
said,
what-
it's
why
24.
don't
I know, but you gotta remember, you can't have an excavator on that beach.
But I agree with Matthew that we can still get a hold of our MLA and ask
Some of the
him
environmentalists to show up
to
and
work
have
with
an excavator.
DNR, try to get this here resolved. I mean, there's nothing to say that the province can't apply to the federal program to remove all the boats in Nova Scotia. So, so,
Well, that's what I'm saying, I don't wanna wait another 2-3 years.
no, it would have to be done right away.
No, I'm like, Jim, you at least gotta try. I mean, you gotta do something.
Oh, I agree, we
Oh,
need
wow.
to try, but it's not that we haven't been trying to get this dealt with.
It could be like $10,000.
That's.
Yeah, but what are they gonna do?
Well, they'd have to take it.
We don't wanna pay for it.
Well, we do, maybe that's it, maybe that's our budget, like we do budget $6,000 for beach cleanup. This may be what our beach cleanup will be this year.
Could be.
$6,000.
Well, okay, there's nothing further on that. We're gonna move on to the next on the agenda, which is Island Consolidated School request for an AED machine.
is, Linda, an AED machine?
AED.
Yeah.
Automatic external defibrillator.
He told me where it was. Up north, he said that all the schools up north, the flying teams are taught have these. He thinks this is a important part of infrastructure. I was thinking, is there any other schools that contact the school board or the health authority in regards to?
There is some schools that have AEDs. The Digby High School has an AED. I believe they should be going to their school board first.
Work at it.
Because that's what I was told the high school does have one. And,
That's where they got the money?
and I was told St. Mary's has one. St. Mary's Bank. I have personally not gone over and asked, but I've been told that. I was told that by 2 different teachers.
So Digby High School, St. Mary's Day, was there another one?
That's the only 2 I was told of.
Okay, okay.
The other thing to add to that is if they don't have any luck with the school board, then I think you should contact Bob Pallet Recreation, because there may be a program.
We did have a grant program, and I don't know if that I think that one is long gone, but there might be something else.
There might be something for health promotion.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All right, I'll just pop in and
I know,
have a conversation with in regards to this.
and I know the one below Yarmouth, little school, they actually fundraised on their own and got one, and that was an elementary school. Now, I don't know.
Now they can take it out of the 1.2 million we give to the school board every year.
Okay.
What's one of these costing?
1,500.
I'll send a letter giving them authority
Don't put
based
that
on
in.
myself.
Oh, no, I mean, that's just a ballpark. But yeah, they could be 1,450, they could be 1,550.
And just to give you an idea what the second paragraph is in regards to, just let you know, for the community is attempting to do the community use for the school on the Freeport. You know how that makes you more likely to stick around, better for the community, they have use of the gym. In '82, I believe when they built this, there was money given from the village to the school board for the building of it, since then the documentation has been lost. To let you know that the municipality restricted the use just a little bit, gave $50,000 to Digby. So I'm wondering if there might be some sort of ask, or maybe nothing, maybe $50,000 to offset custodial costs. So in the past, these community agreements for the schools have involved. We're not being asked yet, but I just thought I'd give you a little bit of background on community and support of municipalities on that program.
So, just to give you a background on the community youth school program that was in place here in Digby. I sat on DARC at the time. There was an agreement with the school and DARC for community use, but the funds that are generated from the rentals pay the cost. It doesn't come out of the municipality, it doesn't come out of DARC. It comes out of the cost, the fees used to use the property. It's still a cost to use it.
So there was no $50,000 given by the
Now, that was when the school was built. That was for the theater, when
Yeah.
the theater was built. So,
I just thought I'd throw it out there. I don't think it'd be any huge amount, but they are talking amongst themselves in regards to it. And it might be an ask for some support from the municipality in the initial setup stage. Also got the principal Roberts. He's doing a magnificent job. Everybody universally is very pleased with how he's doing, and I think a lot of community stuff as far as the school and the community, I feel like it's going to get a lot closer to the benefit of both the school and the community. Just to throw that out, and I think he's getting there's no AE. Right there.
Well, look, he also has another teacher down there, Justin Oliver, who's anymore with the kids and active, and oh my God, I mean, there's really good.
He's trying to get a couple quarters of hardwood for my wood bank. That's all over. You're true, that.
Yes.
This is awesome. Instead of just being perfectly by myself.
all right, we're going to move on. CAO report, meeting dates and reminders. I'll just quickly go over the list. October the 16th at 6 p.m. we're going to have a joint council meeting here with the clerk council to talk about China. And after that meeting, we're gonna meet, talk about the UN,
The AMA and UNSM want some feedback from councils on issues regarding the
cannabis.
the cannabis legislation that they can take to the next meeting, and they wanted that input by the 18th, so I think if we can take a few minutes.
Is there any chance we could meet like at 5 instead? Like we normally meet at 5 and get it over with?
I think we're only, some of the Clare councilors work, and I know I've tried to do that.
Us
Beforehand.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I like that.
Yeah.
But I don't mean that, no, I'd say at 6.
So we'll be here at 5.
I mean at 5.
I don't know if it'll be a live one.
And then, because I figure it's gonna take a while on that.
All right, so 5 p.m. then, we'll talk about the cannabis regulations or potential regulations.
You and George have plans for crashing into Gregory's family reunion, and we don't want to have to everyone look at us at the liquor store.
Okay, we'll keep going. October the 17th from 2:30 to 7:30, engage in a social workshop in the Tagan Fire Hall. I think, George, you registered for it, and I registered for it. October 17th at 6 p.m., there's a PAC meeting here. October the 23rd at 1 p.m., there's a Highway 101 Task Force meeting. The 23rd at 4:30, we're going to have a meeting with the Village of Weymouth. And at 6 o'clock, we're going to have our council meeting, and those are going to both be at the Weymouth Library Program Room. October 30th, there's no meeting. November the 6th at 6 p.m., we have a bylaw and policy meeting. Oh, sorry.
Why are we meeting at 6 instead of, on November the 6th?
That's an error.
Oh, okay, so it is gonna be 5 p.m.?
November the 6th is 5 p.m.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's great.
I just rattled off and I wasn't paying attention to the
No,
date.
good catch.
Okay, November 13th, there's no meeting. November 14th, Tuesday at 5 p.m., Committee of the Whole. November 20th at 5 p.m., Bylaw and Policy. And November 27th at 6 p.m., Council. Okay, we're going to move on to the CAO update. You've had a chance to read your package over the last few days. Are there any questions for the CAO? None? Department reports. You've had the department reports to review. Is there any questions pertaining to them? None? Okay. Updates from previous action items. Capital project update. We're going to move right into correspondence. Town of Digby, Town of Shelburne, invitation for the 10th anniversary celebration of Dr. Ron at the Digby General Hospital. Hard to believe he's been here 10 years already. It's nice that they're having that.
It's not fast, man. Really fast. Late, Jack. Next thing you know, you're going to go away. I never remembers when I was young here. Actually, maybe that was old people. I'm really enjoying getting older. Yeah, it's not bad.
Anyway, it's in Cornwall.
Oh,
sorry, yeah.
Certificate, done up by yourself and I for November 22nd, is his actual 10 years, in appreciation of his service.
Yeah.
We take up, one of us take up that day.
Yeah.
I've already told him I'm attending, but if you're attending, but I just thought it'd be nice for us to have a certificate for him.
I'd like to, yeah.
What's the date of that again? November the 18th?
Yeah.
November the 18th.
Appreciation.
It's gonna be in Cornwallis. It's also, he's gonna have all his Christmas lights and stuff up at the same time.
November 18th. That was November 22nd. I already got it out.
Oh, it's a Saturday.
November 18th.
Yeah. Well, I was looking to see what date was. No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
1, 2, 3.
No, that's his actual
So
date.
on the certificate, you want the 22nd?
Yes, yeah, I confirmed with him today on.
Oh, the 22nd, not the 18th.
No, party is the 18th.
Got it, now I understand. Give me a break, man, give me a
The
break.
certificate will read 10 years, November the 22nd,
Got it.
of 2017.
Maybe you want to show up.
Sorry
on
for,
You
you understood, thank you.
Okay, the next thing was in camera, which we've already done. So, for adjournment.
I so moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't want to say no.